What's up, everyone? Welcome back for a very special edition of Collider Forces, because we're filming one at San Diego Comic-Con, and we're also filming one in this incredible location for Alien Earth. And I have two of the stars with me, Alex Lawther, Samuel Blenkin. Congratulations on the show. I'm so happy to finally get to talk to you after having seen some finished episodes.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much.
So you have somewhat been warned. Collider Force is a little more of a career overview style conversation, and we will get to that roadmap. But the first order of business is playing a game.
Oh, nice.
Usually it involves a dice tower. It's called Dicey Questions, and we roll an 8-sided die, and then I have 8 random questions. The dice tower did not travel. So I'm just going to have the two of you pick your numbers. So who wants to go first? Number 1 through 8.
Okay, 5.
All right. You got a big old meaty acting question to start here.
Come on.
This one is called favorite, least favorite. I want to know your single favorite part of the acting process, like meeting your co-stars, putting a costume on, but then also not necessarily your least favorite, but just a part of the process where you still see room to grow for yourself.
That you hate.
Oh, the part that I love the most is the action gets called and we start. That's the bit that is the reason why I'm, here. I have like a kind of theatre background, really. I grew up doing theatre from a young age, so that feeling of liveness is the thing that I think draws me most to this. I don't know if there's anything that I really, really deeply dislike. I mean, I maybe don't like rehearsals as much as some actors do. I think some actors revel in rehearsals.
I love rehearsals.
Oh.
Alex Lawther is a rehearsal man. But so maybe rehearsals isn't something that I particularly love. I think that's kind of changing, though.
Just to follow up on that a little, when you two are on set for Alien Earth and perhaps sharing a scene, and maybe you want rehearsal time and you would rather not, like what winds
Sam
up being the happy
wins.
medium?
I do not always win. I am there. I'm never somebody who's gonna ask if we don't rehearse. You know what I mean? I don't think rehearsals can be a bad thing.
And I sort of feel like there's a difference between rehearsing in a film context and rehearsing in a theatre context.
Yes.
I don't know if that's the distinction you're making, but
Yes.
Oh, right. Okay. Because I love theatre rehearsals, because I love the process of being in a company for like 4 or 5 weeks. But I think there is something to be said in film and telemaking of like, just shoot the rehearsal sometimes, because you're just like, let's just see what happens. And what's beautiful about filmmaking, which you don't get in theatre, is you get to capture your very first instincts. And sometimes that can be amazing.
And also combine different instincts that you have into one cohesive performance. Whereas I actually recently, did a play.
He did Hamlet
a couple of months ago.
He did.
I've been reading
little
a little
known
bit.
play called Hamlet,
and
with Tom York from. Anyway,
it's true. But that is like being your own editor and camera operator and director whilst you're on stage, because you only have the choices that you can make instinctively in the moment. So obviously when we're on set, we could do takes and we could get thrown a load of stuff like go big there or go small there, and then you get to create a cohesive take out of all of those different elements.
Oh, I'm going to be such a nerd when we get into the meat of this and I can start to break down like process and techniques and stuff. Would you like to pick a number? 1 through 8, but not 5.
3.
Number 3, other jobs on set. If you could learn more about another position on a film set, what position would you choose and why?
Yeah, I think I know the answer to this. I have started writing and directing short film, and I'm really comfortable, maybe too comfortable with the acting department, and I find that probably one of the reasons I want to direct is just to spend more time with actors, because I love actors.
I've seen one of Alex's films. It's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you very much. It's called Rhoda. You can find it on Instagram if you fancy it. And I would love to develop my technical language, particularly with the DOP. Both of my shorts I've worked with a DOP called David Pym, and he's excellent and can really translate framing into something that I understand coming from an acting perspective of like everything he talks about is to do with character and emotion. But I would love vice versa to be able to just to know more about like what lenses we're using, and just to be more inventive and learn more about that. So maybe either, maybe a camera operator, maybe more so than a DOP. And I'm starting to become sort of obsessed with the role of a gaffer as well, because a really brilliant gaffer, which I didn't understand so much as an actor, but having worked on shorts and seeing a gaffer that can translate emotion into light for the DOP and for the director is like, it's an amazing thing. Yeah.
It's so true. It's totally game changing.
Yeah.
All right. One more number. I'll have you both answer this question. Who would like to pick the number?
Alex, you go.
Okay. 9.
There's no 9.
Oh, really?
It's 1 through 8.
My God.
You're not the first,
This is
I
why
promise.
I'm an actor and not anything else. Another prime, I'm going to go for 1.
All right. Oh, this is a meaty one. This one's called Never Again. What is something you have tried for a role before that now makes you say, I'm really glad that I gave that a shot, but I'd rather not do that again?
I have one instantaneously. I had to wear a glue-on full beard and moustache. And that after, I wasn't on set every day, but I was filming. It was a fantastic show and I enjoyed it so much.
What was the show?
Mary and George, where I got to, act with the brilliant Julianne Moore and,
But you had to wear a fake beard.
I had to wear a fake beard and it was like psychological
like a dream and
torture.
nightmare.
It was like psychological torture. And that is just so silly to say because some actors go through unbelievable transformations in the chair and, wear all this kind of stuff. But I found it really hard wearing a fake beard. It's because I'm not capable of growing a full beard, because I'm still a man-child.
Still
You
growing.
got to sit for a while for that stuff. It takes a lot.
Yeah.
Were you worried about it? Because I was just worried about it falling off.
It was just so scratchy because they were worried about it falling off too. So they used the most powerful glue that you're allowed to use on.
They used super glue. They used
Okay, it wasn't super glue.
hot glue gun.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's like from D&T lessons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What you got for us?
I've been amazed that sometimes I've been like, oh gosh, that was quite big. That was a big bit of acting. And then seen it back and been like, oh, actually, you can be quite big. I think I started in theatre like yourself. I was always worried that I was like doing, and keeping things very, very small. And I did this thing called Howard's End and I played this like quite louche character and thought that I was just like really giving it 170% all the time. But actually the camera can be more accepting than I think we give it credit for, although it does like favour or does do something really interesting with interiority. You can actually be quite big. I think actors like Andrew Scott are really good examples of this. Like he's great at the tiniest of things, but actually he's also so like full-blooded in his performances.
I think that is such a valid thing to say. And all the performances that stick out to me are performances when actors have taken the risk to go to those bigger places. Because when you're talking normally in a human argument or a human situation or when the stakes are heightened, people are expressive. I love anything that sticks out from, I think that might be something that's quite maybe prevalent right now in the industry, which is really playing into that sense of interiority. That has its own power and beauty, but I just love it when an actor takes a big risk.
Yeah, makes a big
Takes
choice.
a big swing.
I think Gary Oldman, I don't know if this is true, but I remember once reading it on his Wikipedia page that he believes in like the school of big acting. And
That's
fair
great.
play to him. That's a school I can get behind.
Oh, I'm going to be such a nerd in a moment with the two of you. We've hit the meat of the interview now. And just in order to set the stage here, every single Collider Forces begins with this question. Can you each tell me what the very first movie you saw, performance you saw, personal experience you had, whatever it may be, that first made you say to yourselves, I absolutely have to be an actor?
Well, I saw, there's a British theatre company called Knee High Theatre.
Great.
And they are a Cornish-based theatre company, and they are very, very folk tale, kind of English or British folk tale based, but they tend to go into the darkness of those fairy tales.
Was it The Bride?
It was The Wild Bride, which was it's based on a German folk tale called The Handless Maiden, which is about basically a father who ends up chopping off his daughter's hands because he's compelled to by the devil because he made the wrong pact with the devil. And they turned it into a show called The Wild Bride, and they had 3 actresses who played the bride throughout various stages of her life. And they are a musician actor-based company, so all of the actors played musicians. And it came to my little town. I grew up in Cheltenham in Gloucestershire, and it came to the little theatre there. And the devil was the most compelling character who played the double bass, ukulele, guitar, banjo, and he had a fantastic singing voice. And his performance again was big but grounded, and the show just took my breath away, and I carry that memory around with me, and that that made me want to be an actor.
I saw that show as well, and weirdly at like original theatre where I grew up as well, towards Chichester in the south of England, and for just a bit of detail there.
This is getting worse. We've already been confused for each other today. This is getting worse. Our origin stories are aligned.
No, it wasn't the first play I saw, but I did National Youth Theatre when I was 14, 15, and they do a course and you just do it for 2 weeks. Or is this slightly going off topic? But I'll get back to
Oh
the
no,
answer.
I'm gonna probably roll with this topic to be honest.
And the course leader was a actress called Eva Magyar, a Hungarian actress who was over in the UK, and she was in The Wild Bride. So that was like my first experience of sort of semi-professional theatre. And then I remember going to Chichester to see her in Knee High. I think it was that way around, and not I saw the play first and then Ava. But I have a real connection to that.
She's extraordinary. She played the last of the 3 brides, and she has this dance of like life and rebellion, and oh god, it's beautiful. Sorry.
Now I'm jealous. I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That sounds incredible. Leaning into studying now, because both of you have trained before. I believe you were at Guildhall.
Yeah, so I did the degree at Guildhall, yeah.
I'm untrained, baby.
I love asking about training and finding the right techniques for you. So can you tell me a little bit about maybe your experience exploring the variety of acting techniques out there and finding which ones speak to you specifically?
Yeah, I, for the unschooled people out there, I didn't go to drama school, but I do love theory. And I do like reading. And I particularly like hearing other actors talking about acting. I like listening to podcasts with Kate Blanchett talking about acting, people I admire. And I feel like I came from quite a bookish world, and I did, I grew up sort of reading. So I've loved work and theory that has encouraged me to sort of be more physical and to get into my body a bit more. Whether that's through like sort of dance-based practitioners like Laban, which is all about movement and space. There's a director called Declan Donnellan who is also about like the actor in the space. And these people, I like it when like acting problems are taken out of the head and into the body, or like actually looking at the person in front of you and actually sort of making things. I think things can get overly complicated. And again, harking back to Andrew Scott, love that performer. Yeah. But he's always talking about like, there was an interview with Meryl Streep where she was like, she watches her nephew or her son or her child playing, and her relationship to acting hasn't changed from when she was a kid and was playing. And I think with some of it can, that sort of essential thing can get lost sometimes with all the weight and scale of things. What about you?
Yeah,
Samuel?
Well, that's really interesting because I can, that's drawing a parallel story out of me about my journey, getting into drama school and choosing to go to drama school. I felt very lucky to get, Guildhall was the only school that I got into, so I felt compelled to go there, and I felt really lucky to be there. And I loved my training there. The things that I was drawn to the most were things that start from an external place and then affect your interior life. So rather than starting from the emotion or the emotional state or the kind of emotion memory, or maybe that more Stanislavskian kind of like interiority, I loved mask work, putting on a character mask and looking at that character in the mirror and seeing what came up. Those kind of senses of freedom, or improvisation classes, that kind of thing. I gained something from that, and I had a really positive time at drama school. What I felt like the journey was like for me is that I spent 2 years after graduating getting back to the thing that I felt like I had before, which is an innate sense maybe of play and confidence. Not that I'm, the best actor in the world, but that
You are.
You're pretty damn good in the show.
That's really mean. Not that I'm the greatest, but that I do have something specific that's specific to me that I can offer up. And I think finding that freedom is the thing that's essential for me. And I learned a lot. The play that I just did when I got to play Hamlet, which was an extraordinary kind of honor, and I feel so grateful to have been able to play.
And I saw it, and he was exquisite. Yeah.
But that it's acceptance. Like you need to me. I don't think you can advise anyone on how to act. But what seems to unlock me is accepting everything. I accept that I am on stage. I accept that I'm tired today. I accept that I'm behind the camera and the camera's making me nervous. I accept that I'm on set. So it's not so much about forgetting that I am who I am and that I'm an actor. You have to accept all of that and then find out what's going on. And if you can find a way to continually accept, it means that you are genuinely present.
I feel like the way you just said that is going to leave an imprint on my mind, where even just doing these interviews, I'm going to like use that as a mantra before I start something.
Yes, it's almost Buddhist, isn't it? Yeah.
Before I veer into Alien Earth, you two are so good at talking about technique. I want to ask one of my favorite questions ever. It's a big 2-part question. I would love to get both of your perspectives on this. Can each of you tell me a scene partner you've had over the course of your career where the second you met that person, you knew you were immediately in sync? But then I also want an example of the opposite. Someone who brought something totally new to the table and challenged you to adapt and maybe try something new and for the better.
Yeah, sometimes they're the same person, right? That you're sort of in sync, but you're like, oh, I don't know what's coming next for this person, and I'm so ready for it. 3 people come to mind. I'm currently working with a brilliant actor called Anthony Boyle, and I think he's so alive and quite wild and playful. I worked with Jessica Barden on a series called The End of the Fucking World, and Jess there's just like such an honesty to her that I think is really rare, maybe particularly in the UK.
She's like a powder keg in everything she's in.
She is, isn't she?
On my toes.
And so vulnerable, but so alive. And Sydney in this, the first Sydney Chandler, who plays Wendy in Alien Earth, the first days that I worked with her, I was like, oh, thank God you're here, because I understand why I'm here now. And something I hadn't really anticipated that there was a slight fuzziness to what I was playing before being on set with her, that when I had my first scenes with her, it really clarified something. And that's, I think, because looking at her and her being so in the present, I was like, oh, I should really be in the present too, like you. So yeah, those 3 people came into my mind at once.
That's too much to say. I did an episode of Atlanta, Donald Glover's TV show, and the kind of triptych of Brian Tyree Henry, Lakeith Stanfield, and Donald Glover being on set with those 3 and getting to act with all 3 of them in certain scenes and playing the strangest, most compelling character aside from Boy K in this. That was amazing, because that was the first time I'd worked on set and I felt genuinely free, that I was being supported to do something free and make choices that were truly insane or like truly wild. And that was a best idea wins kind of set. And those 3 actors challenged me so much because they were just so natural and so good. They'd inhabited those characters 2 seasons before I'd ever walked onto set. So that level of belonging, that was amazing to see. But what was amazing on that set was it really was best idea wins. I would suggest something and they'd take it as seriously as whether Donald said something, or, you know.
And were they totally relaxed because they'd done 2 seasons already? So like they were not worried about proving, you know, who they were or what their characters.
It was about what was happening in that room. And I felt like we had that same feeling on this set as well, which is that it's Noah's domain, or it's Dana's domain, or it's Oogla's domain, whoever was directing us. They had the ability to make the room their own. And that's what I think makes great TV. Sometimes it's difficult because these shows are expensive and there's lots of money flying around, and the studios have, you know, enabled these things to happen. But I think the best work happens when the director gets to sit in the seat and create a space where we feel free to do our job and play. So yeah, that was a formative experience for me. And also working with Tim on this show. I mean, our characters are 2 characters who have different types of intelligence, which creates this kind of clash between us that I immediately walked on set and looked into Tim's eyes and I was like, this guy is ready to play. And I was like, well, I'm ready to play too. So, you know, we had so much fun in our scenes that we
Your character is an interesting dynamic with literally everyone on this show. Like, I'm always watching out for how he's going to treat every other character that's around him.
Yeah.
I'll come back to specifics in a quick moment. And this might lean into what you were just saying with Sydney, but I love hearing about an actor's aha moment when finding their character. And, you know, both of your characters have such like specific, unique qualities and situations that they're navigating. Do you remember the very first thing that happened either in prep or on set that made you go, I know who Hermit is now, I know who Boy Kavalier is now?
Yeah, Sydney. Basically. I think we both sort of looked at each other and we both so wanted to see a sibling standing in front of us that we sort of just saw that. And so we were that, I think, during those 6 months, which was nice to be away from home, but to have a sibling.
Not to cut you off, but just to follow up on that, can you tell me a little bit about doing the moment when he needs to understand who he's looking at? Because that's a very difficult thing to
It's a weird
sell.
equation, isn't it? Yeah.
And I think you do it beautifully. The question comes from a place of thinking it works.
Good. Thank you, Phew. It's almost like it's a moment of horror. I kept on thinking. It reminds me, gosh, this is really nerdy, but I did The Winter's Tale. And in that story, basically this guy loses his wife because of his own actions and his daughter disappears, who's a baby. She comes back 16 years later and he recognizes her as his daughter, this person he thought that he'd lost. And there is something sort of Shakespearean about that moment of this. And at the end of the play, spoiler, Winter's Tale, his wife then comes back to life as well. She was a statue. I mean, you think Alien Earth is crazy. You should read some Shakespeare. Yeah. There's something in that of like fundamental, it's almost like a parallel universe. They suddenly overlap and two things that shouldn't exist at the same time do. This person who you thought you'd lost has been found, and that is, there's a deeply unsettling uncanniness to that. And I think with the first takes of it, I was just sort of like, and Dana was like, you look, maybe tone it down. Like, because I was a bit like, I've just felt sort of freaked out by the whole situation. I found it more viscerally frightening than being faced with a xenomorph was being faced by a dead sibling come back to life. She's essentially a ghost to him. And also she's in this other body. Can you imagine like this zombie, this other body opening its mouth and saying, hey man, it's me, I'm your sister, I'm your dead sister, I'm alive, but I'm in a different body.
It's such a complex moment because I feel everything you're explaining right now, but also in meeting them at the beginning of the show while they're separate, I wanted them to come back together and have a reunion, but because of how complex the situation is, it can't be as cut and dry as a happy reunion.
I know, and they've just got to keep moving, and they're chased by a xenomorph.
That
so they've only got a moment to let's keep going. And I think those questions therefore then end up getting unpacked through the course of the season. Because they're both having pretty bad days when they finally get reunited.
Yeah. Back to the original question now for you. Yes. What is the aha moment you had for your character?
There were kind of two moments, one that was on camera and one that was off camera, which, there's a moment in episode 2 when I'm lying on the bed and I hold up my little iPad-like device with my feet.
Yes.
And that was something that was something that I didn't plan, that just when we were blocking the scene, I just thought that would be fun, and there was such a positive response to that choice, but also there was a feeling in me of like, oh, I know who this character is now. He's a disruptor. And actually, he's got to the point where he's got so much money and so much power, everything's a little bit of a joke. What happens when you can't take anything seriously? I don't think he can really take anything seriously. That was a click for me. It's like, it's all a joke. Because if you think you're cleverer than everyone else, it's just everyone else is laughable. So that was a click moment. There was also something that I don't think has made it into the series, which was a sequence that we did of basically my character late at night just dancing for like 20 minutes through the corridors of the facility.
So good. Was that unscripted as well?
It was unscripted. And Dana was like, I just want to try this thing. And you can choose the music. And
what's the music?
Yeah.
Oh,
I have to know now.
It was You've Lost That Lovin' Feeling. But the version, sorry, I'm getting my phone out.
Oh, I'll take this.
I can keep talking. We'll keep this efficient. But yeah, I chose the music. It was, that great song, You've Lost That Loving Feeling. And we put it on for 20 minutes. And Dana, they didn't even plan the camera movements. They just had the cameras there. So it was it's the Lee Hazelwood and Nancy Sinatra version, which is this slow, oozy kind of, that he's Lee Hazelwood's got this deep, sonorous voice, and we put that on, and it was a joke, but it was also him being a child, and that 20 minutes just relaxed me for the rest of the 6 months. I was like, okay, now I feel like I'm owning this sort of set in this space.
Oh, I love that. So it feels like something that can be released as like a companion scene even.
Do it,
like
guys.
Once people get to know him, just
Noah?
to see what he does behind the scenes.
If you watch
Noah?
I want to go back into some scene partner questions for you specifically, because I brought up before how he literally manipulates every single person around him, and that manipulation tactic is I guess different with every single person. So can you maybe tease the most polar opposite, like a tactic he'll use for one person to get them to do what he wants, and then an example of someone that he approaches in the exact opposite manner?
Oh, that's a really good question. I'm not sure I can answer without it being a spoiler. Well, I think there's a big difference between the way that he treats Wendy and speaks to Wendy and the way that he talks to Hermit. And
very rude, actually.
And actually, maybe the way that he physically, without really going to think, the way that he might physically treat Hermit.
Yeah, because I'm employed by you.
So technically I own him, and that might mean that I kind of own parts of his body as well. So yeah. He gets what he wants in a very specific way with Hermit in a way that is not the same as Wendy. Let's just say Boy K. Boy K doesn't like mums or dads or brothers,
Yes, and Hermit is a big proponent of siblings and parents and cousins.
I guess one thing I would say thematically for the show is there's an interesting question for Boy K in watching the way that Wendy and Hermit interact, which is to do with, is she human enough? If Hermit's convinced that Wendy is Hermit's dead sister, it's a big win for me. And that question of what counts as human, and if her real brother is convinced what that means for my, company.
There's been a big success.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm running out of. I could talk to you not only about this show, but I love the way you look at your crafts and you explain it. But I am just about out of time. And we always make sure to end every single episode of Collider Forces with this particular question, because I think it's important and I like thinking about it. In film and television, we give each other awards. That's absolutely wonderful. I think we should keep doing that. I find that nobody in this business stops to tell themselves good job as much as they should. So I want to know something each of you accomplished making Alien Earth Season 1 that you'll always be able to look back on and say, you know what? I am really proud of what I did there.
What do we have to say?
You have to praise yourself.
Oh, gosh. Wow.
This is often the reaction I get.
What's coming to my head is how compelling Alex's performance was in the show. And
I was going to say the same thing, obviously, about Sam.
You're cheating, but I'll take it.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're going to cheat. I think that Alex has an unbelievably sensitive connection to being human and humanity in every role that you play. There is a compelling complexity and humanity and groundedness and reality to everything. And I think what's really impressive is the way that you brought that into this show that is definitely larger than life. There is so many elements to this show, and Alex brought a key element of humanity and genuine family connection that is required in this show. And I don't think that was an easy job. I don't think it's easy. And I think that you did it in such a compelling way that was not outside of this universe. You still absolutely were fitting inside the universe. So I think that's very impressive.
You're very lovely, Sam. Sam's also my publicist, so he gets paid to say things like that. I think you especially, Sam, I think we were surrounded by really excellent, very specific characters and performers that were taking on those roles. Sydney and Tim and Essie and David and all of the Lost Boys, and on and on and on, which helps because I think you feed off each other over the course of 6 months. I've never done a job that is that long before, which is weird, having done this for like a decade, but 6 months is the longest I've ever been employed. And I think that something we managed to do was to keep our stamina over that amount of time, being far away from home, in another culture, in another country, being very welcomed there in Thailand, but also, it all being brand new for us. And for a lot of us, the scale of a show like that being brand new. So yeah, I think we I'm proud of the stamina that we had to not go too mad.
We did go pretty mad, but
We were
not too
quite mad, but then it was fine.
I mean, something
look
about
at
that
us
I
now.
feel like suits the vibe of the show and the situation they're in. I get it. I have to say goodbye. So I'm going to say congrats on everything you've accomplished on Alien Earth Season 1 and everything coming your way in the future. I feel like it probably goes without saying at this point, but I could talk to the two of you all day long. So I hope we get to regroup when I've seen the full season.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Right
Thank
as the
you so
line.
much.
Anytime.
Thank you.